There is no debate in my head at all. I'm not considering it at all. The consideration level in my head as to whether to vaccinate my children against this specific disease is zero. Why is that? Because it is being forced on us through coercion against employment, against going places, against living our normal lives, against praying in a synagogue, against all these normal things, and that violates the Nuremberg Code, so I don't care. I'm sending a message that my children belong to me. They were given to me by God, not the state. I have vaccinated them against all standard childhood diseases. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I am against mass human experimentation, especially on my children, and I will not let it happen no matter what.
Okay, Rafi, when it comes to the 5 to 11-year-old group specifically, already Israel has said that there will not be any the Green Pass requirements for that age at this point, that free testing is going to continue. But are you concerned as a dad about your kids getting the virus, getting COVID, getting sick, and perhaps having long-lasting impacts?
My kids already got the virus. My kids already got the virus. I got the virus. My wife got the virus. We can't prove it because I will not take a test to prove it. But we had all the symptoms. Everyone is fine. We have natural immunity, and I have no need for any of this new technology stuff that has only been tested for maybe a year or two, when vaccines are normally tested for 10 years or more, especially on new technology that changes genetic codes in RNA.
The mRNA doesn't change, though, the genetic code. It's the mRNA.
Oh, it changes the mRNA. The mRNA is messenger RNA, and that is changed. The instructions to produce proteins from the mRNA is changed, so don't give me that.
Rafi, I want to ask, about the fact that already in the U.S. now for more than 2 weeks, we have today 1 million kids between the ages of 5 to 11 have gotten the doses. Millions more between the ages of 12 and 16 have gotten the doses. Thankfully, no serious side effects, serious illness, death from these vaccines to protect. We're seeing the data from the U.S. that it is safe and effective. Your response?
Well, wow, that's amazing. 2 weeks. That's like the longest time period I've ever heard. 2 weeks and everything is safe and effective. I've heard that before. I heard it last year. I heard it 2 years ago that the Pfizer vaccine is a 99% effectiveness rate. But look at the statistics. I don't even want to argue statistics, because the point is the kids are mine, and I decide what goes into their body and not the state, without any coercion. And as you said before, Israel's trying to release some of the coercion. Yeah, but my wife was still fired from her job, and I'm still locked in my house because I can't work in public places, so I have to work from home. So this all violates the Nuremberg Code, and I'm not going to rely on 2 weeks of data to determine what to put in my children's bodies.
All right, Rafi Farber, thank you so much for being with us on the Zoom-In Show and giving us your perspective. Great to have you. I'm going to turn now to Professor Zachi Grossman with the Israel Pediatric Association, who is listening in. Thank you, Professor, for staying with us. Just at first, please, just give me your reaction, your response to some of the things you heard.
Well, I really am sorry to hear these claims. We know that the vaccination changed the world in the last year and saved many, many lives. And we have heard such talks from people who were hospitalized. They didn't take the vaccine and they got hospitalized, and some of them eventually even died. But they refused to acknowledge that the vaccine was really the game changer here. I'm sorry to hear these things. I think that when we should consult parents, the majority will not raise these concerns. They will raise concerns, however, about safety, and we should answer them. But going back to mRNA, changing the DNA code, etc., I think that most parents do not raise these concerns anymore. And about the coercion measures and the Green Pass, we are not dealing with it right now. I think our main purpose is to convince parents that it is good for the individual child to get vaccinated. We should show the risks in vaccination versus the risks in catching the disease. And even in children, and even with the low prevalence that we have now in Israel, it is still preferable to be immunized upon waiting to catch the disease.
Professor, a lot of parents, I think many parents would have two specific questions or concerns, even pro-vaccine parents who themselves are vaccinated. One is a question about urgency. Why do they have to rush now to get their young kids vaccinated when we are seeing the COVID rates plummet in Israel? And secondly, if I can also ask, why didn't Israel wait longer, maybe a few weeks longer, to see more data from the U.S. on the second dose, on the impact on recovered kids who already had COVID? Why do it now? Why not wait longer? Can you address those concerns?
Yes. First of all, the term rush is not accurate because nobody is rushing. We shall offer the vaccine to parents in a matter of 2 weeks. And as I said, I think the majority, 60% or so, will do it in a matter of weeks or months. As to the need to do it now without waiting for the fifth wave to come, we have learned a very important lesson when we had been through such a scenario in May, and we had to make a decision about the young adolescents, 12 to 15 years of age. At that time, at the end of May, the prevalence of COVID in Israel was really low, a few cases per day, not like today that it's hundreds per day, but a very few cases per day. And we thought at that moment that maybe the best option is just to enable vaccination, meaning that it will be out there, but we do not recommend it actively.
Okay.
And then after 5 weeks, the Delta wave rushed in, and we convened almost urgently to change it into a recommendation, not enabling, but recommendation. And there is a huge difference between these two phrases. We have learned to know that in the weeks that passed between the first phrasing and the second phrasing, actually nobody recommended it, parents did not come, and we lost very precious time because when we did make the recommendation, it took 4 to 6 weeks until the first kids got immunized, because it takes a few weeks. And then the Delta wave was already there, and I'm sure that it caused many hospitalizations of kids, even with severe corona.
Yeah.
So we do not want to repeat that. We think that from a strategic point of view, there is a need to vaccinate. We are certain that the vaccine is safe. We shall try to tell parents to be confident in their decision, but we do not want to wait, because if we wait, we might lose precious time, and then someone might say, why didn't you decide now? Why did you wait? So we had already a scenario of waiting, which was not successful.